There's a double bombshell for the Newcastle supporters before the kick-off in driving rain at St James's Park. Alan Shearer is kept on the substitutes bench following his one-match suspension, and alongside him there is Duncan Ferguson. So Ruud Gullit surprises everyone by giving 20-year-old Paul Robinson, a former Sunderland season ticket holder, the main striker's role in only his second start in the Premiership. It's also quite a night for Northern Ireland's Tommy Wright, who began his league career with Newcastle, but now returns on a month's loan from Manchester City in response to a goalkeeping crisis. Wright's last league appearance was nearly a year ago in the second division. Even the opposing manager Peter Reid was taken aback by Gullit's selection. There's a recall for two unsettled players, Nikos Dabizas in defence and Silvio Maric, who could possibly push up to support Robinson. But the likes of Marcelino and Ketsbayer have now joined the growing Newcastle injury list. Talking of injuries, both Sunderland centre-backs Steve Bold and Paul Butler needed fitness tests, both passed. Niall Quinn returns up front alongside Kevin Phillips as Sunderland set out to test what's recently been a shaky Newcastle defence. Left-back Michael Gray, a scorer in the last derby here 3 years ago, can be expected to find himself in the England squad tomorrow. And with Graham Lasso apparently ruled out of the European qualifiers, Gray could add to the international experience he gained last season. Well, Ruud Gullit says it's a night for big hearts. I would think his heart might be thumping, Mark Lawrenson, with this somewhat of a gamble in his choice of team.
Yeah, especially in terms of midfield selection, John, where it really looks very, very lightweight. I know they'll have one more than Sunderland in that area, but they've got people in there like Solano, McGlenn, Dyer, who not very good at winning the ball back. In the derby, that's the most important area of the game.
And what a derby we've got in prospect now, and it's Alex Rae for Sunderland in the first minute. Niall Quinn comes near post. Sunderland, needless to say, are in the red and white stripes. Only 850 Sunderland supporters given tickets for the match, although it is being beamed back to the Stadium of Light. Niall Quinn is in the centre here, and Tommy Wright, what a surprise for him to suddenly be called up by Newcastle. Graham Poll, who refereed so well on Sunday at Highbury, is the man in charge tonight. This is Summerby for Sunderland, taking on Domi. And gets away. Niall Quinn wants it delivered now. And Phillips was in there, oh, and it was turned back for a corner. Warren Barton.
Well, it was a great early cross from Summerby, wasn't it? One of those crosses Wright couldn't make up his mind, something that Barton had to defend.
Butler and Bold have gone forward for Sunderland. The obvious threat is Niall Quinn. Coming in now. And now Rae. Alex Rae turning well. Oh, he's got through here. Quinn's in the middle still. Rae goes down. Stefan Schwartz there for Sunderland. Phillips. Well, Peter Reid, who's keen to turn around Saturday's result at Leeds, where he felt Sunderland were hard done by with some decisions. Now Maric. Play on. Graham Poll applied an advantage. Gary Speed. Looks like Maric on the right, Mark, and Dyer up the middle.
Yeah, so he's certainly very successful in the game against Southampton, coming from that position. Kieran Dyer is excellent on the ball, great awareness, and just important really is the fact that he can't afford to give the ball away in that position with just the one man up front.
In by Phillips to Quinn! And Sunderland make the first real opening, and Tommy Wright has, I think, collided with the goalpost. This is Kevin Phillips who makes the break on the left. It's a whipped cross along a greasy 6-yard line. Quinn did make a bit of contact, and I think his momentum, Mark, drove the goalkeeper into the post.
Well, what a marvellous cross as well, wasn't it, from Phillips? Just got half a yard on his mark. Here it comes in, and Quinn pulled away from Goma, and really it's just momentum took him on to Tommy Wright. The best chance of the game so far.
Well, the reserve goalkeeper tonight is Steve Harper, who is not fully fit. He told me this afternoon he's still suffering from an elbow injury, and if Ruud Gullit had to use him, that in itself would be a gamble. But what is happening here? The crowd making gestures, are they towards the benchmark?
I think Shearer's come out to warm up, John, which is why the crowd have got off the seat. They've had nothing else to get off the seats for.
Gray. Schwartz. It's well worked. Maric with Dyer in the centre. Robinson. Kieran Dyer. Chance for Newcastle. Goal. Kieran Dyer. Oh, they'll be relieved there. It was well taken, it was well made. Robinson had a hand in it, Dyer put it away. And in the North East derby, it's Ruud Gullit's team who strike first. Was he onside? Yes, he was, in my view. There was a defender on this side playing him on, Mark Lawrenson.
Most definitely onside, yes. I think it was a play in the right back position, could have been Chris Makin. Lovely finish by Dyer. He just waited for Sorensen to commit himself, and just a little dink of the right foot. 1-0 to Newcastle.
It's Kieran Dyer's first goal for his new club, £6.5 million from Ipswich. And what a night to score it in the derby match. And Graham Poll losing his patience with one or two of the Sunderland players. Kevin Phillips, I think it was, who argued with the decision, and it looks like a yellow card. Alex Ray's talking to the referee at the moment, but look at Phillips here, dissent.
Yeah, I think Phillips thought he was tackled in front of the nose of the referee, who's obviously decided not. And then throwing the ball away, card for Phillips.
So suddenly, or maybe temporarily anyway, the night turns against Sunderland. And now somebody else in trouble, Butler. Well, I would think Nikos Dabizas, now that he's been restored to the side, Butler was yellow carded there, I think.
Yeah, yellow carded for dissent, John. Again, disagreeing with the referee's decision.
Looks to me as though Gomar and Dabizas have gone forward. It's Solano who's on the ball. And trouble there. Oh, Sunderland didn't quite know where that was going to bounce. The referee's now given a free kick. Well, Peter Reid's team lost the place there, both in defence when Dyer scored, and then temperamentally with two bookings, Phillips and Butler. Well, it's a while since Sunderland really tested the Newcastle defence. In fact, although they started quite well, they've been suppressed since Newcastle scored. Here's Makin to Summerby. Quinn goes into the centre. Phillips being joined there by McCann. Schwartz. Oh, and Niall Quinn threw himself at that.
That was a shot by Schwartz, wasn't it? I think definitely it was offside against little Phillips as well, but Niall Quinn wasn't to know that.
Now, Gomar got the wrong side of Quinn just for a moment there, and in trying to get back, he impeded the big number 9. And it's going to be a free kick to Sunderland. Alex Ray and Summerby on the ball. Summerby, who normally takes these for Sunderland.
Well, he did the first thing right, which was get it over the wall. Unfortunately, cleared the crossbar and halfway into the stand.
It's a tough life down there tonight. The hoods are up, the hats are on, and the rain shows no sign of relenting.
At least it's warm rain, John.
And now Solano goes into the middle. Headed out by Bold. So, Ruud Gullit's reshuffled Newcastle, lead at half-time in the Tyne-Wear derby, but their supporters will have mixed emotions. They'll be delighted with the goal by Kieran Dyer, but they'll know that in their last 3 games, Newcastle have been in a winning position or thereabouts, and they've sacrificed it, and they'll be hoping in the second half it doesn't happen again. They led at Tottenham and lost. They led at Southampton and lost. They led Wimbledon here 2-0 and 3-1, Newcastle, and only drew. Can they hold a lead tonight in the North East derby? They haven't won at St James's Park since February in the league. And here's Steve Bold for Sunderland. In fact, Newcastle's last win of any sort was in the FA Cup semi-final against Tottenham. Seems an awful long time ago to their supporters. And maybe it seems a long time ago, but it's only a year this week since Ruud Gullit's predecessor, Kenny Dalglish, parted company with the club. And Gullit took over. Here's Barton. And he's looking for Robinson here. And Maric again has started on the right wing, leaving Dyer to play the free role around Robinson. And this is Robinson. There's a chance for Newcastle. The bounce just favoured Sorensen.
It was just the pace of the pitch really that beat Robinson. Just that extra bounce on the wet surface just took it into Sorensen's arms.
That's Niall Quinn, and it's Kevin Phillips. Chance for Sunderland, perhaps. And he was just bustled out of it, really, by Dabizas.
It was just a half chance, wasn't it? But it was just sandwiched between the 2 defenders. In fact, it was Dabizas who had the last touch.
In the series overall, Newcastle have won 43 league derbies. Sunderland 39, 36 draws before tonight. That header on finds Robinson for Newcastle. He's looking for Silvio Maric on this side. And Sunderland get the ball away, and here's Stefan Schwartz. Quinn ahead of him, so is Phillips. This is Summerby. It's long for Niall Quinn, and he got away from Dabizas, but directed his header beyond the far post.
Quality cross on the right. So hit it quite flat, right-footed. Quinn pulled away from Dabizas. Now they got direction, no power on his header.
And suddenly Duncan Ferguson emerges from the dugout to quite an appreciable roar from the Newcastle fans. And it looks like Paul Robinson who's coming off. Done a good job though, Mark, and made the goal.
Yes, he's done a very good job, John, and when you consider for a majority of the game he's played up front on his own. He's worked very, very hard. Service to him has been poor, and you rightly say made the goal for Kieran Dyer.
Well, can Duncan Ferguson help to kick-start Newcastle's season and reignite his injury-plagued career? Just look at this weather, but they're still smiling. Well, look at that, he's got to wring out the replica shirt and put it back on.
I think he's been the Isle of Wight for his holidays as well.
Look at that was the pitch. This is Macon, Quinn still in there. Well, now then, that's got to be a free kick for obstruction. Solano really conceding that. And this is danger for Newcastle. Quinn in there, Bold. And headed on, and it's in! Niall Quinn got the touch, he's equalised. Peter Reid's team are level and Newcastle have gone and done it again. They've lost the lead for the 4th match running. And keep an eye on Niall Quinn. It goes into the near post area, flicked on and into the corner.
Well, he just held the defender off, didn't he? Didn't even have to jump, just held him off. And nicest of flicks, just took it away from right.
Well, it looked to me as though a set play was Sunderland's best chance of scoring, and so it proved. But Newcastle now up against it again. 65 minutes gone. 1-1 in the Tyne-Wear derby, and the fans have to swallow hard again, having seen their team lose the lead for the 4th match in a row. Well, as a defender yourself, Mark, I don't know what you thought of that, but you've got a chance to tell us now.
Well, the key to the goal was a cross, really, and the fact that Quinn just held his ground, stood there, made sure he got the purchase on that. It was a lovely ball in from Summerby, and just a redirection of the power was enough to take it away from right.
There's a yellow card here. I think that's Gavin McCann that's been booked for Sunderland. And in the meantime, Barton, now they'll want Duncan Ferguson on the end of this. And he didn't make it. Well, Sunderland are back in business. And suddenly the question marks start to raise themselves again in the face of Niall Quinn's equaliser. Great servant to the club, just had his testimonial match, Kevin Ball. Peter Reid frantic to get him on, and looks as though Stefan Schwartz is coming off. Shaking hands very sportingly with the referee, and the Swedish international makes way in midfield for number 4, Kevin Ball. But here, here is the man, Shearer, who has emerged. So we're going to see, as Silvio Maric comes off, we're going to see the Shearer-Ferguson partnership after all. Both left out of the starting lineup, both now on the field, but with a real job to do here. And there goes Dyer again, and Sorensen won't get there. Well, he did, but not through. Well, the pitch is playing all sorts of tricks.
It beat both players that time, John. Sorensen and Dyer.
Well, here's one for Quinn. On to Phillips.
It's just so important now for both sets of players. They've got to follow absolutely everything. They can't be sure when the ball's going to stay up. It's going to speed through, so certainly defenders have to be vigilant.
Forward run on the... Oh, and Quinn's in a good position in the middle, and so too Ray now. McCann helping out, but again, the water on the pitch. This is Shearer. Sunderland have come away with it, and Phillips is in the centre, and there's danger here for Sunderland. Oh, and a block by Tommy Wright. Phillips again, and Sunderland have scored. It's 2-1. Kevin Phillips has got the ball in from a difficult angle. The referee has also seen some pushing and shoving back on the halfway line and has gone racing across to speak to Makin, I think. But Sunderland are in front. Goodness me. Tommy Wright made an initial save here from Kevin Phillips, but when he turned and chipped that over goalkeeper and defender mark into the far corner.
Well, some people said when they saw the start of the side at the beginning of the game that it wasn't so much a team selection as a suicide note. Only time will tell that, John.
It's not looking very good for him, I have to say. Not at this moment. Well, what's happening here now is very high on the significance rating in football in the terms of Newcastle United, because Phillips is breaking again here, and he's taken the defender. Oh, he hasn't. It was a very good saving tackle on Phillips by Gomar.
That's a super ball as well, as it played early, and Gomar just stayed with Phillips and timed his tackle perfectly.
Well, Sunderland will be in no hurry from now on, but Bold is slowly making his way forward. 7 minutes left. They have a corner. And that is Steve Bold. Phillips in front of the goalkeeper. Oh, he hooked that as well. And Niall Quinn was within a whisker of getting a foot on the last touch. Well, there will be some leaving, and they will be dispirited as well as soaking wet. Having said that, the loyalty of those inside the ground is still amazing. They're still chanting for Newcastle. That's always been the case up here.
Well, they've had a double whammy tonight so far, haven't they? Soaked by the weather and beaten by the local opposition.
Here's Duncan Ferguson. What can Shearer do? What can... Oh, and there's the equaliser, is it? No! What a chance for Solano.
Well, it looked really, when he drew his right foot back, as though he was just going to place it inside Sorensen's near post.
We were just writing the obituaries there, Mark, and he curled it the wrong side of the post. This is the best opportunity of the second half for Newcastle.
Sorensen thought it was in.
I think everybody thought it was in. This is McLean. Solano, who missed that very good chance. Domi is to his left. This is Ferguson. Oh, and a Sunderland player's done that. He's hit the bar. Kevin Ball nearly scored the most spectacular of own goals. What on earth happened there? He got his foot to it and it's come back off the bar, and now arguments in the penalty area. Newcastle have a last-minute corner. Shearer's there, Ferguson's there. And there's some pushing and shoving, some arms out. Shearer comes in and Sunderland have got the ball out for a throw-in. This is the last throw of the dice. Dabizas is in there, and it's a goal kick, and I really think, Mark, that's it for Newcastle.
Well, I thought for a second, I mean, Kevin Ball was just being honest in winning the tackle. He went in very, very firmly. He caught the ball so well. Sorensen was beaten completely when he clipped the top of the crossbar.
It was an amazing incident, and it could have saved Newcastle a point. It might have saved a few heads, but I don't know what happens now at St James's Park, because Ruud Hullit's team are going to be booed off. They took the lead again, and once more they faded in the second half, and the double act of Quinn and Phillips. Let's not talk just about Newcastle. This is a big win for Sunderland and Peter Reid. No wonder they acknowledge their small band of fans. A brilliant turnaround from their point of view. Quinn's equaliser, a really astute winning goal by Kevin Phillips, and then that extraordinary moment at the end when Kevin Ball hit his own bar from 30 yards. But Sunderland have taken the 3 points in the North East derby, and the big question in this part of the world now, which will be asked, I'm sure, all over the country, is where does that leave Newcastle United and Ruud Gullit? What it does do, it leaves them with only 1 point from 5 games.
Ruud, it's not unusual for a manager to gamble with his selection, but it would appear tonight the gamble didn't pay off.
I didn't gamble because it paid off, and when the two came on, then we get some goals against. So it was going all well, and it's not a gamble. It's just what you see, and we were 1-0 up.
You left Shearer and Duncan Ferguson out of the side, something like 24 million pounds on the bench. What was the consideration behind that?
No, I think that Robertson did very well on the last game, and he did also well, and we were 1-0 up. Everything was okay, and then in the second half we conceded a goal again in a free kick of standard situation, and then you have to go back to your basics, and you try to do that, and then they scored another one.
When you saw the Newcastle side, the team sheet come through, what went through your mind?
Well, it's a difficult one because obviously their manager, he picks the team, but I must say, hand on heart, I was pleased that Shearer didn't start.
Kevin, first of all, the conditions. There's a doubt as to whether it was actually playable.
I can't believe you're asking a Sunderland player that question. I mean, I'm going to come out with the obvious. I thought the conditions were tremendous tonight. I couldn't see a problem with the pitch at all. The fact that the ball may not have rolled cleanly at times was quite. Pitch got heavier and heavier, but in the same token, it was the same for both teams. We adapted to it well and come away with what I felt was a thoroughly deserved win.
Are you considering your future here, Ruud?
I'm always considering my future everywhere I am.
You're a high-profile figure. Speculation will always follow you, but there is no suggestion. Whatever, you might change your mind and walk away from Newcastle United.
They asked me already after Southampton. I think they asked me. I think it's now. I feel that I'm still the coach of Newcastle, so that's the most important thing.
As long as I've known you, when things happen, is your heart still here, still involved in doing the job?
You almost suggest that I have no heart in it.
Far be it from me to suggest that.
Oh, okay. No, I put everything I have, I put in there. And like I said, you look at it in the beginning and you think, that's going well. Everything is going as planned. Yeah, you put the 2 substitutes out and you lose the game. So what is the gamble then? Did I have to substitute them anyway, or did I have to leave the team as it was or not? So that is always after it. But in the beginning, everybody was happy, I thought.